Good morning again from Jinotega. I am just on my way over to Cotran Norte bus station here in the city to hop on the 10 a.m. bus up to San Rafael del Norte. It is a much cooler day today, overcast so far, but I expect it will be much nicer in a little bit as the clouds and mist burn off from the city. Let's get to the bus before I miss it. So I just got off the bus from Jinotega here in San Rafael del Norte, and I just got off here at the main square. I didn't want to take the bus all the way to the terminal because the museum I want to go check out is closed at 12 until like 2, and so I figured I'd save myself the extra 10 minutes or so walking over there and back. So we're here now. I'm just going to make my way over and check it out. It's the main cathedral here on the square, and the museum is just around the corner. So let's head over there now. So we're here at the Casa Museo Blanca Aráuz. Blanca Aráuz house is where Sandino and his partner lived up here in San Rafael del Norte. So a bit of the background about why I spent an hour on the bus to come up here to see this house. This house is the home of the daughter of Augustus Sandino, the revolutionary fighter here in Nicaragua who fought against the American opposition in the 1920s and early 1930s. So he was married to Blanca Aráuz, who was the mother of the lady who lived here. Blanca Aráuz was married to Augustus Sandino in 1933 and then died in childbirth to her only surviving daughter. Augustus Sandino is the most prominent and easily most popular national hero here in the country. Sandino's efforts against the Americans in the 1920s and 30s still reverberate here in the country today. Everywhere you go, you will see silhouettes of Sandino, mostly from this most famous picture of him during his time fighting in the wars. Sandino's flag became the basis for the FSLN flag for the Sandinistas here in Nicaragua during their fights against the American-installed dictator, the Somoza family, in the 50s and 60s, and ultimately became the most prominent figure in all of Nicaragua. Back when I was in Leon at the Revolutionary Museum, we actually learned a little bit there about Sandino and his history here in Nicaragua, how he was ultimately assassinated. But it's a fascinating history here in the country. But we're talking about almost 100 years here of battles between occupied forces and the Nicaraguan people to try and gain independence for their country. So they have this little open garden area. The remains of both Blanca and her daughter are both memorialized here. They actually have a crypt set up with them. The guys are over there working on it at the moment. But first, let's go over here and have a look at another one of the rooms. They've got this poster hanging here of Blanca Segovia Sandino Aráuz, who was the daughter of Sandino, who passed away in 2022 and lived in this house, I think, almost up until her end. So it's a beautiful spot here. You can see that directly behind the memorial, you've got the cathedral and then the beautiful hills behind it. Mentioned earlier as well that San Rafael del Norte also holds the distinction of being the city in Nicaragua at the highest elevation in the entire country. Obviously there are higher points up on mountains and volcanoes and such, but in terms of actual cities, this is the highest one you can visit. So not to be overshadowed by Sandino himself, Blanca also had a fascinating history. She was a telegraph operator here in San Rafael del Norte, and when Sandino came to the city and set up shop, they were actually located directly across from the U.S. military offices that were here. So they were able to use her space as a way to spy on the Americans, send messages via telegraph to Managua and other places for the rebel fighters. And she was heavily involved with the revolutionary fight over the years. She was jailed at least once, I know once in particular, for a 7-month period after she was accused of sending messages to her partner, Sandino, when he was away in other parts of the country. Fascinating history. This whole area it just oozes revolutionary history for this country of Nicaragua. Let's take a walk over there. There's a bunch of more photos and a display case with some other things in it to have a look at. So they've got this back section here with an entire history of photos that go through some of the various events in the 1920s and 30s here in Nicaragua, more specifically focused on San Rafael del Norte, and of course also focusing heavily on Blanca, Aráuz, and Sandino himself, showing various pictures. And I'm actually going to take a few pictures here, and then I'll put English translations of the captions on the screen here as well. Here's some little room here with some more of the information in it with the revolution. So they've got all kinds of little pieces of history and stuff in here. Some of it's obviously replicas, but some of it's originals also. Talking about, like, there's one of the original flags that was flown by Sandino back in the 1930s. And they've got some of the replica type equipment. They've got some of these original documents that were used. They're pretty faded right now, so I really can't make them out too clearly. 5 million Cordoba. There's one with Sandino on it of 1,000 Cordobas. They've actually got one here too of German Pomares Odonis, who we talked about yesterday at the other museum in Jinotega. This one actually was originally a 20 Cordoba banknote, but was overstamped with 500,000 Cordobas during times of hyperinflation. And then, as is usually the case in most places you go in Nicaragua, they have these established memorials for heroes and martyrs of the revolution. Usually lots of different photos. It's still shocking to me how young some of the people were that were involved in this stuff. Just looking through some of these, there's one here, 14 years old, 15 years old. One of the most famous in the area is Pablo Jesus Aráuz Marina. He was another man who was considered a hero here in the country, and this is one of his most famous photos, about to throw a Molotov cocktail made out of a Pepsi bottle. It's a beautiful spot here. There's, like, again, I know I say this a lot, but it's just surprising to me that all these places are just sitting here and there's very few people at them or nobody at them ever. I'm the only visitor here at the moment. Just people working here, but that's it. And yeah, it's amazing. You can see they've been doing a lot of work here. Like, they've got bricks and dirt and more dirt over there, and they're working on the tomb over there at the moment. So this place is in a constant state of upgrades and repairs. So here is the final resting space for the wife of General Augusto Sandino and his daughter Blanca Aráuz. I was asking them, and they were saying that Blanca, Sandino's daughter, actually lived in this house for 40 years. So which is why it's so revered today and why it's become such a special place here in San Rafael del Norte. It's not a big place if you want to come and check it out. So San Rafael del Norte is only about an hour, either from Stella to the north or from Jinotega in the south. You can just hop on a bus. It usually all the buses pass through here going one way or the other. And it doesn't take that long. Like, this is it's a house. So they've got some different rooms set up. They've got some of the different spaces set up. Like, there was the memorials, there were some of the photos of history. There's their final resting place. And then they had these rooms in the front here with some different things in them. And it's a super interesting place to come and just absorb some of that history. As I've talked about before, I am quite a history nerd. I find a lot of these things really interesting because None of this is ever taught in schools. You only get sort of the one-sided view of things, and so to come here and to learn about all these things from the other perspective is really interesting to me, and I hope that other people feel the same way. I know there's a large majority of people who think, oh, history's boring and I don't care about it, and whatever. But to me, it's very important because it's important to learn where we have made mistakes in the past and what we can do to improve our futures and learn from it. And especially it feels like current day, it's more relevant than ever. So just stopped at this little place across. There's the museum, and this was Commodore Alban Saison, and had a good little menu. I just had a couple of little taquitos with chicken and stuff in them, and a drink, and it was just 100 Cordoba, which was a great deal. 110 Cordoba, which is still a great deal. So I thought I might take a little quick walk down here to the park, have a look around, and there's supposed to be a really good coffee shop here too, which I believe is just up ahead. And they say it's some of the best coffee in the region. So let's go and check it out, assuming I don't get run over. Just even over here at the park, there's a little statue here of Blanca, Aráuz, and Sandino posing together. A strong reminder of their influence and memorialization here, I guess, in this region. This region is still very Sandinista strong because much of the civil wars that were fought here were based up in these hills. So a lot of these territories and cities up here were very heavily influenced by what happened. Cute little park here. Kind of overcast again, but they got a full basketball, soccer court there. There's a nice band shell here in the middle. Again, everything brightly colored with paint and all the different colors you could imagine. They've even got an outdoor gym exercise area right there for the public, which I've seen in a lot of these places. San Rafael del Norte is not a big city. You can come and check it out in an afternoon, much like what I'm doing today. And I actually tried to stay here as opposed to Jinotega, but there was nothing available. There's only one or two, I think, hotels in the city. And so I ended up going down to Jinotega and just taking the bus back up. Oh, yes, and before I forget, the bus from Jinotega to here was about an hour and cost 30 Cordoba. Well, just across from the square, there's a place that basically has my name on it. It's called Coffee Lovers. And so we're going to head over to there and grab a coffee and do some people watching. Well, this definitely is a place for coffee lovers because this thing is awesome. I got a double espresso here at Coffee Lovers just across from the park, and it's delicious. And it's a great way to kind of wrap up my time here in San Rafael before heading back to Jinotega. So yeah, Coffee Lovers, great spot, delicious coffee. I had a nice double cappuccino there, which actually has 3 shots in it. So now I'm full of energy and ready for a nap on the bus on the way back. Let's head over to the bus terminal. I think they said there was a bus at 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna grab that and head back to Jinotega. Tomorrow I am off to my final stop through the northern region here in Nicaragua. I'm going to Matagalpa. I have a place reserved there for 3 nights. And for a change for me, it's in a hostel. But it came very highly regarded. All I need to do is survive the hike up the hill to get to it. But we'll see how that goes tomorrow. Welcome to Matagalpa, or at least the hills just outside it. As you saw there, I am in a beautiful spot here up on the hill. Matagalpa sits down at the bottom, and I'm staying at a place called Aguali, biologic station, and it is a fantastic stay. This is my second day, I guess first full day technically, that I've been staying here, and it's been really relaxing. Bit of a hike to get up here. The taxis can only go so far because, as you can see, the rest of the road is dirt. So really it's only on foot or motorcycles to get up the rest of the way. But it's been really nice, and despite the hike up yesterday, which wore me out, but wasn't all that bad in the end of it all. It was just carrying the bags. But it's been great. It's a really cool spot. I'll give you a review and kind of show you to you there later. They actually have a cooking class tour here at the moment. There's about 20 or 30 people in there, so I figured I would wait until later. So I thought I would go for a little walk up this way. There's actually a little village here up this hill. There's a supermarket, there's a couple little shops, and but just some beautiful scenery around. So I thought I would go up this way and talk about my experiences here so far in the northern Highlands area of Nicaragua, which was new to me, but going forward I would definitely recommend it to everybody else. Just came up to the top of the hill here for a little walk. Well, it's the first hill. There's certainly more hills behind me, but yeah, beautiful spot up here. Beautiful shot of the city down there, Matagalpa, where I came into yesterday. Really, really, really impressed with this whole area that I'm calling the Northern Highlands of sorts. This is the northernmost state, or at least it was for most of my trip. Visiting, going from Jinotega, which was the hottest city in Nicaragua, up to Stella and Miraflor, which are arguably some of the coolest, was a really nice break. It's an area that I don't think enough people visit in Nicaragua. From what I've gathered, most people do what I did last year. They start on the sort of main line down between León and Managua and Granada, and then maybe hit Omotepe or head over to the Pacific side to somewhere like San Juan del Sur. But most people don't take the time or effort to get up this way, and I really think people should give it a serious thought. So I went, as I said, from Jinotega, which was super hot, up to Stella, and then through to Miraflor on that crazy bus ride up through the dirt roads on the chicken bus, and just stunning area, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been up through that way. And then to go down through Jinotega and to take a stop up in San Rafael del Norte to see some of the history there, and to finally end up here in Matagalpa has been a really great adventure. It took me, I would say, about 10 to 12 days, going at my usual leisurely pace, but it's been worth it. I haven't gone and done many major hikes or, any of that sort of stuff, which is certainly in abundance up through this region. I've met lots of people here who, get up early and go out for full day hikes up to some of the viewpoints, and some of them are, breathtaking. It doesn't even begin to describe it. But I really like it, and I really hope that this video from this area kind of really shows that off a little bit. Obviously there are many things to like about Nicaragua when you're traveling. It is very affordable as a tourist. The bus system works very well. Schedules are always on time. Things like that. It makes it really simple, and it's really great. People are generally friendly unless you're trying to get onto a bus, in which case it seems to turn into a bit of a madhouse, fighting for seats, even though there's always more seats than people when the buses are first opening up to take passengers. But the people are great here, and it's a really wonderful country to come and check out. So I encourage you to do so, and I encourage you, if you have the time, to come up to this part of the country also, because it's just fantastic. This little village up here above Aguali where I'm staying is heavily benefited from Aguali being here. They do a lot of projects with locals. They help with, farming and sustainability, environmental projects. They host cooking classes, and all that money stays up here in this little village community, which is fantastic. So it's a really, really cool spot. I'm just going to keep walking a little bit. I just kind of stopped here. I was walking up this trail and saw this giant rock to sit on, which I'm assuming others have done as well. I'm just going to keep walking a little bit. I'm not going up to the top there. I don't think looks like a pretty intense hike. But I'm just kind of wandering up through the green here a little bit. There's a nice breeze up here, so it's not crazy hot, even though it's sort of early afternoon when the day is at its hottest. At least the breeze helps a little bit. Just kind of up, wandering around some of these trails. No particular direction in mind. It's beautiful up here though. All these nice mountains and hills around it. There's actually a giant cross at the top of that hill up there. I'm not sure how you get up to it, to be honest. I'm not sure if this trail continues up towards it, but I'm just kind of wandering around, getting some exercise, enjoying the fresh air, and ultimately just loving life. So I thought I'd give you a quick tour of where I stayed here, just outside Matagalpa. This is Aguali, which is a combination hostel, eco center, and yeah, it's just a really cool spot. This is actually a dorm room that I had. I've been here for the last few nights. There's only ever been at most one other person. There's a shared bathroom here, full shower and the whole bit, sink and stuff. There's another 4-bed room here which shares this same bathroom. It has been cold water showers only, which has been a trend since I arrived back in Nicaragua. Everywhere that I've stopped so far has been cold water only, but it's been fine. It's been, good way to wake you up in the mornings, I suppose. They have this really great common area here. I've been working from sort of this table most of the time that I've been here. Lots of fresh water and a full kitchen if you need to cook your food. Big stove and stuff over there. There's a fridge right there. Lots of dishes. And down here, they have about 11 acres, I believe, in total throughout this area. So it's a pretty expansive spot. Down here, there's actually another seating area, which they were using the last 2 days. They have kids classes here on Saturdays, and so they come down here and do the classes. There's another pretty sitting area here. So you can see here, there's all these chairs and stuff in this area where they were doing the classes. There's a nice sitting area up here where you can come up and watch things like the sunsets. And the sunset is just right in this section here, so you get a really pretty view from here. They've also got hiking trails up through their 11 acres or so. I believe one of the trails actually connects up to the cross at the top of the hill. The staff here have been incredible, super friendly, super helpful with anything you need. They have laundry services here. I think they probably just take it down to one of the laundromats in the city for you. And if you don't want to go down to the city for groceries, they were able to take a list from me. Nearby here, there's not a lot of restaurants and things. There's a couple of local stores just up the hill that have basics for sale: eggs, cheese, snacks, milk, those types of things. And then if you want to go down into the city, it's about 1.5 kilometers to 2 clicks, I would say, to walk down to the main part of town. I have just been hanging out up here pretty well the whole time and just loving every minute of it. They do have parking here if you have a vehicle. Most of the taxis and stuff will only come up so far, and then you have to walk the last 200 to 300 meters or so up the hill because it just turns into a dirt road. When I arrived, they actually dropped me at the bottom of a set of stairs that I had to climb, which was then an extra couple hundred meters, but it's fine in the end. So if you're interested in staying here at Aguali, just outside Matagalpa, they have their own website, aguali.net, which I'll put on the screen, but all the bookings are handled through booking.com. And for 3 nights, it worked out to just under $12 US per night. And as I said, there was only, I was here 3 nights, and the first night I had the room completely to myself. And then the last 2 nights, there was just one other person in there. So it's been good. It's been quiet, and, the place hasn't been super busy. They have some family, like bungalow style places available as well here if you don't want to stay in dorm rooms. So you can check out, they have, 4 or 5 different options available. They offer things like tours. They do cooking classes here on the weekends with tour groups, things like that. And it's just a really cool vibe. I've really enjoyed just kind of hanging out, doing some work, watching the days roll by and the sunsets. Going for that little hike up the road there the other day was really nice. So yeah, it's a cool spot, and it's been a great way to kind of end this little excursion through this part of Nicaragua. Tomorrow I'm headed out to Managua, the capital, to go check out some things that I didn't get to see the last time that I was there. And people had suggested that, other parts of the city were a bit more lively and had some more things to do. So we're going to go back and see if it's the same strange capital as before or something more dynamic. Anyway, that's all from Aguali. I just wanted to kind of give you a quick tour of the place while it's quiet. There's literally nobody else here at the moment. But it's a fantastic spot, and I would definitely recommend it if you're coming through Matagalpa to come up and stay here. Just keep in mind, it can be a bit of a hike up the hill, and if you've got your bags and gear with you, it can be a lot, but it is definitely worth it. Good morning. I am heading out today from Matagalpa to return to the capital city of Managua here in Nicaragua. And I'm very excited to go back. Everyone has told me that I need to go back, and here's a whole list of other places to go check out. That makes the city far more interesting. So that's what I'm going to do. Just finished up my time here at Aguali. Had an amazing few days here to relax and just really enjoyed the vibe. It's a really cool spot with some really great people working there. And if you're coming through Matagalpa and you don't mind a bit of a hike up the hill, it is definitely the place to stay. We're just going to head down the hill, head to the Cotran Sur, which is the bus station for destinations south of here, and get on our way. When coming up here, the last couple hundred meters or so are on this old beat up dirt road to get up to Aguali, and then it's paved from here on down, which is nice. There was a set of stairs that had come up the other day where the taxi dropped me off. He was supposed to drop me off at the top of the stairs, but nonetheless. Anyway, this just gives you an idea of the climb up, but thankfully going down is far easier. Still working our way down the hill here, but yeah, other than, gotta watch out for the rocks and stuff, it's a pretty easy walk back down. Nice once you hit the paved roads here too. Here you get a nice view of the city. There's actually a mirador at the top of the hill over there. You can see one of those decorative trees, big church here and all that kind of stuff. The city kind of spreads throughout this valley up on the hills, and I'm just heading a little bit further this way down to the bus terminal. It's about 2.5 kilometers, I would say, from Aguali down to the terminal.